Hey leaders, thank you for leading this Sunday on February 18th. It is the first in our Lenten Action series from Pastor Mark, and we will be talking about lament this week. This is not something that we do well, especially in America. So it will be a very interesting conversation. We will be talking through several passages. Lamentation, James, and Luke, notably, but you will also be using additional passages in your application activities. So we're going to use Luke and the prodigal son for our teaching time, and then we'll talk through the different elements of the prodigal son and what that younger son felt, and see if they come up with who they are in the story, what the different characters are, things like that. But mostly what that looked like, and that he was not scared to go back home, and that we can go to God with our feelings. We'll talk about lamenting consequences that people are receiving based on their own actions, but also based on the actions of others. The consequences, like sin has broken creation, and so we have all kinds of things wrong in creation that were not necessarily because I did it, but because it's been thousands upon thousands of years of people breaking creation. Illnesses that exist, all of these kinds of things, or generational issues. You might have a neurological difference because of something that happened in your ancestry, right? So anyway, and then talking about lamenting on behalf of another people or culture or people group kind of thing. Like we can feel sorrow for what's happening between Israel and Palestine. We can feel sorrow for the Ukraine and what they're going through, and all these people groups, and the oppression and the battle and the wars and all of these things, the things that happen in America. So we can lament on behalf of other people, not just ourselves as well. So our application time is going to be a little different-ish in that they are going to, both groups are going to do the same thing, but they'll do them separately so there's not too many in a spot. They're going to be the verses in a bag that they'll pull out, and they're going to do whatever that physical form of lament was in that verse. So at one point, Job tears his clothes. We're going to have some of the old pillowcase robes that we've had for years and years in there that they can tear. So, once the first person does a big tear, others are going to have to do smaller tears. I think Nikki has already done some pre-cuts so they can get that and tear that. It says at one point they shave their head. We have a Play-Doh dude. They can grow his hair, cut his hair. Putting ashes on their heads and their faces. We have flour. They can put ash on their heads and their faces. Weeping loudly, all of these things. And then a lot of this is going to be up to you to lead this discussion well and talk about what after you cut your hair, what could you see that would do? How would that help? Would that help? Would it change something? What would it do? What did tearing what did that physical action make you feel? Did it help you release some of that emotion? What is that? And then going further into how are some of these ways we can apply those things today? Because we're not going to walk around with flour or ashes on our heads and on our faces to show people that we're experiencing sadness and sorrow, we're grieving. But what are things that we can do? What are things that we can do to show, or how can we verbally express instead of putting it all in? Tearing paper and things like that is a therapeutic coping skill of a way to get emotion out instead of letting it all sit in. So different things like that to help them think through this. And then the biggest one is that whether you are lamenting your own sin, your own bad choices, the consequences that you are sitting in the middle of because you messed up, or you're sitting in the middle of somebody else's consequences, and that's not fair, or you are being empathetic towards someone else, another people group. What does that look like? And can we go to God with that? Can we go to God with our sad? Can we go with our frustration or our confusion regarding why are we experiencing consequences for something I didn't do. That kind of stuff. And talking about we can always go to him. He is always our good father. He is always safe. We can take our emotion to him. So that's this week. It's not going to be a really up one, and that's okay, because that's kind of the point. We're starting off Lent, and this is talking about our humanity and frailty, and it's a time to lament. Thanks for leading.